In this series of 4 videos, we're going to be creating a SAP Business Objects Data Services repository on a SAP HANA database. In the first video, I'll create a user in the SAP HANA Studio which will house the Data Services repository. In the second video, I'll create a Data Services repository with the Data Services Repository Manager. In the third video, I'll log into Business Objects Central Management Console within the enterprise set of products, and I'll create a Data Services connection to my Data Services repository. And in the fourth video, I'll log into the Data Services Server Manager and create a server so we can execute jobs within our Data Services repository. So in this video, I'll log into the Data Services Server Manager and create a server so we can execute jobs within our Data Services repository. So before we build that job server, let's go and look at the problem. So to do this, I'm going to launch my Data Services Designer, and I'm going to try and execute a job based on that repository. So I'm going to log in with student welcome 1, which is the login to my Business Objects Enterprise system. I'll then select that test DS repo, click OK, then enter the password of that HANA database, which is dsrepo123. I'll log in, and what I'll do is the following. I've already built this job, this project called test, and in this project we have a job which is actually empty. There's nothing in this job at all, but what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and execute the job. So what we'll get is a message that says the job server you selected is not working. Obviously we can see that because of the error message, but also I know this is the case because here we have a red X across the job server icon. And as you can see on the left hand side, it says no job server is configured for this repository. So we have to use the job server manager to do this. So I'm going to log out of the Data Services repository. And then what I'll do is I'll go to Start, All Programs. I'll choose from the Data Services folder, the Data Services Server Manager. Now you can see here that we have 2 existing job servers on our machine. Now the beauty of Data Services is that many repositories can connect to the same job server. So if you've got a very high powerful machine, you can connect multiple users to the same job server, which is in essence connecting many repositories to the same job server, so they all can share the same powerful machine. However, you can also create a job server for a specific user. Now if I launch my task manager, just to show you what's happening under the bonnet, we can see here at the moment we've got a few job servers. So if I now go and launch this configuration editor, I'm going to add a new job server, and I'm going to call this test ds.js. Now a job server has to go in a specific port. So I'm going to put this on the port 3502, and then I'll click on OK. Now, you can't create a job server unless at least one repository is associated with it. So I need to add our existing repository. So I'm going to, within the Associated Repositories window, click on Add. In the Repository Information window, within the Database tab, I'm going to select SAP HANA, select the ODBC connection that we created before, and then enter our HANA user and password. And click on Apply. So now we've associated a repository with this job server, I can click on OK. So what you'll see now is a third job server has been created. So we've got now 3 job servers running on 3 different ports, 500, 501 and 502, and I can click on OK. And what's going to happen is I'll need to restart what's called my AL job service process, which is going to spawn an additional job server. So to see this, once the window is closed, I can go to my task manager. And what we can see here is that essentially we have an AL job service which manages 3 of my AL job servers. And each AL job server, one for each port, will spawn an AL engine executable. So now that we can see that, we can go back into the SAP Business Objects Data Services Designer. We can log in with our credentials. So again, this is the credentials for the central management console. And then lastly, we enter the credential for the actual, we select the repository, and then we enter the credential for the HANA database. We're logged in, and straight away I can see if I move my mouse over the icon that we have no red X on the icon. So again, if I open up that recent project in my empty repository, and again this job has nothing in it, if I execute this job, the job should execute now with no errors. And as you can see, it says that the job, which was called test, has completed successfully. So this is a good thing to do if you've built a repository, to ensure that your data services job server is correctly configured and connected to your data services repository. So this was the 4th video, which showed you how to create a SAP Business Objects Data Services repository on a SAP HANA database.